Anyway, this is Windfall. Anyway, once upon a time, I wrote a story, or was it a screenplay? Or maybe, I don't know, something. And it was about me being president and coming out to Burma to visit the Burmese. How someone attacked me with a knife. Anyway, yeah, my life is President, Doctor Who, and the Devil. I like that. But anyway, that's fantasy. In reality, President Obama, has a tough job. I mean, he has to deal with all kinds of threats to him. Secret Service are, highly efficient in detecting these threats and thwarting them. I know a couple. Yeah, I don't have any money. Yeah, I don't have any money. But anyway, the thing is, today he's heading for Israel in the PM in Seattle, and it's about 1:30 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. This is March 19th, 2013. Now, yesterday, I was informed, or actually I informed my colleagues at the CIA, and so it had to be forwarded to the ATF, FBI, and other agencies, that there was a terror group intent on mounting at least one martyrdom operation using a Soviet-era hand grenade that had been obtained through the disarmament of the IRA because of their agreement to the Belfast Accords or Ulster Accords or something. Anyway, but these grenades, several of them made their way. They're called F1s, and there's also F1A, which I think is a phosphorus grenade. It's even more deadly. And I think one of them was disposed of on Sunday. I heard the bang because the drug cartel that had obtained the grenade found that they couldn't get their extortion effort off the ground because they were outed by somebody. Maybe it was a homosexual outed them. Homosexual? What are those? I don't know. Anyway, but there's still the other grenade. And these grenades were brought to somewhere close by the Seattle Police Department second gun buyback program this year in 2013. The Seattle Police Department haven't had a gun buyback program for, they say, 10 years. The reason they're doing this is because of all the carnage. So anyway, my concern is that this grenade, being that it is a fairly old grenade, and it's possible it could have been, I guess, concealed somehow. I believe it could be concealed in a block of plaster or a statue or something. But it could be released at some point by just simply breaking the plaster open. And of course the lever, once you take the pin out, the lever is released, and of course the grenade goes off. So if I was a terrorist, or a Dairy Queen as I sometimes call them, or a demon monkey, I could just take a statue made of some flimsy ceramic, some child or some college student might form, and I could just bust it open, and off goes the grenade. Boom! Now the question is, could it be concealed in such a way as not to be detected by X-rays or other apparatuses? I don't know. Could it be put on a plane, for instance? All right, I'm gonna generate a scenario. This is a kind of like a nightmare scenario. In this nightmare scenario, there is a twin-engine Beechcraft on its way out of the U.S. via LaGuardia, via JFK. All right, and then what happens is the president takes off in Air Force One at about the same time. Now, these planes are quite separate in their line of their travel. Their flight plan does not intersect at all. But let's say someone on the twin engine Beechcraft has decided they want to hijack the plane, maybe for whatever reason, drugs or sex or rock and roll, and they tell the pilot they will shoot them unless they divert to the heading that they wish. So let's say they divert the plane into the flight path of the President of the United States. And then let's say the President is in Air Force One on his way to Israel, and there's a Beechcraft. Now its transponder has been yanked. And so therefore it's a rogue plane. It's an unidentified flying object moving into the pathway of the President's aircraft. Which of course means it's subject to a shoot-down order should it not obey the commands of the Air Force when they intercept it. So let's say jets are scrambled, say some F-15s are scrambled from say Fort Dill or someplace in Florida, let's say. And then, let's say, hypothetically, the pilot waves at them and signals that they have lost radio communication, they have a significant electronics, avionics jam up, and they will follow the directions of the Air Force pilots. But they do not. And they're guarded by these F-15s, which overrun them. But they swing back around. They find the Beechcraft is hugging the deck of the ocean. All right, it's skimming the waves. Now, the person at the helm of the Beechcraft is one of the terrorists. Now, these terrorists have this phosphorus grenade, all jammed into this kind of like ceramic statue of the Virgin Mary, I guess you could say. I mean, that would be my guess. Who knows? Why not? So anyway, what happens is they get to a certain point, and they have this improvised, I don't know, I guess you could say a slingshot, a cannon. Anyway, they get to a certain point, and then they start climbing out of the drink, and of course they're spotted by the Air Force pilots. Now, Air Force One at this point is about 10 miles away, which means the aircraft has already violated airspace that they're not supposed to violate. But this is the magic moment. What happens is the aircraft suddenly explodes, and anyway, half of the tail section falls away, and this cannon, I guess you'd say cannon, this compressed air cannon, shoots the statuary right out toward Air Force One, and was sort of like in a trajectory that makes it look like it's going, in a harmless direction. But what happens instead? These helium balloons blossom out of the I guess you say the warhead, and then swiftly, as if jet propelled, the statuary moves straight toward Air Force One, right toward the President of the United States. Now, this is a significant problem. Now, this is a very small object, even though it has balloons attached, and et cetera, et cetera. But it's difficult to hit this kind of thing. I mean, even with, F-15 cannon fire. So what happens is the Air Force One is trying to get away from it, but it's slinging right toward it. This is a well-crafted terror plot. And so what happens is the statuary gets close enough to Air Force One that a signal is sent from the handset of someone that has suddenly parachuted out of the destroyed Beechcraft, and the device goes off in the presence, it literally within 1,000 feet of the Air Force, the president's aircraft. Right, boom, it goes off. Now the question is, what happens then? Well, it's a grenade, but still shrapnel. Got shrapnel. I mean, even an aircraft like Air Force One, VC-25, is not really a match for shrapnel for the most part. And so the thing is, this is a scenario. The probable scenario is that someone has brought on a statuary to bring to the Israelis that has the grenade in it and is undetected, probably because somebody was paid off. But you see how the president has to worry about these things? I'm not really the president. I mean, I think he just does his job. But the Secret Service, shit, they have to worry about it. So if someone has slipped on, well, not slipped on, let's say the president has found a statue of some note, say maybe from the Chinese art gallery, I don't know, some goddamn thing, something that he wants to deliver to a friend in Israel, and not necessarily the prime minister, but maybe a rabbi. That might be the bomb that goes off in the hold of the aircraft that destroys Air Force One and brings down the plane and kills President Obama. I mean, that's a real plausible scenario. So, long and short of it is that you really don't know what's going to happen until it happens. But this is the kind of thing you don't want to happen. So I don't know. So what I would do. This is a simple fact. I'm a filmmaker. I make up stories. I make up films. I create things. But if I was like a fairly new Secret Service guy, and I wanted to make sure I was making sure that all the things that could be covered were covered, I would check into whoever got sick suddenly, developed amnesia, didn't know where to go when they had to be at a certain place at a certain time. Anything that looked out of the ordinary. Think outside the box, boys. Think outside the box. And then, if you find something that looks suspicious, track it down and do it quick. I want every swinging dick that's associated with the president's detail, Secret Service detail, headed toward Israel to do their duty and do it right. Do it right the first time. Don't fuck around. So anyway, the president's due to leave about 6 p.m. No. I got 7:45 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, which would be 3:45. No, it'd be before 4:45 Pacific Daylight Time. So you watch what you're doing. You make sure that plane is clean. All right. The reason is because the way I see it developing, this storm, repeat storm, is something would happen to the president's plane, which would create a national emergency immediately. And then these motherfuckers will launch their fucking, revolution, let's say. Going around, taking over radio and TV stations, blocking the road, putting barricades across roads, killing policemen, all kinds of shit would break loose. So to prevent that, you have to basically stop the ignition point. The ignition point, as always, is the president. And I've always said it. I told Kit Taylor when I was working in the campaign in 2008, well, Katie Kelly was sneaking around the back door trying to hear what I was saying. is that the thing is, if something were to happen to President Obama, well, he wasn't president then, all hell would break loose. I mean, hell in the full sense. I mean, brimstone, you know, demons, the devil. So anyway, this is the devil signing off now. I like my number, 666. It's very pretty.